where we review all the best sports clips from around the world. If this is your first time checking out a video, please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really, really does help with the visibility in the algorithm, and I would greatly appreciate it. It's one of the best ways to support me, and I would really, really be grateful. Without further ado, let's get to it. We're watching a clip of First Take with Stephen A. and Shannon, Sharpe, and Booger talking about the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott, about their culture and, you know, where the Cowboys are kind of failing right now and whether or not, you know, the other players need to step up and what's going on with the Cowboys as a whole, because they're supposed to have a good coach, Super Bowl winning coach. They're supposed to have a great quarterback, Dak Prescott, and they're supposed to have a great team. They have CeeDee Lamb. They have offensive weapons. They have, you know, a great defense, and yet they've done nothing. Essentially, right? And there seems to be some debate whether or not, well, are they actually a good team and they've been doing well, but they just haven't won in the playoffs? Does that mean that they're a bad team? Does that mean that it's been a failure? You know, they won 12 seasons, you know, 12 games, 3 years in a row, which I think is silly, personally. But it's just such an interesting conversation. I've never seen a team be defended so intensely as the Cowboys and like Dak. And again, this is coming from, you know, Philly, where you let, as Jason Kelce put it, you know, they let you hear it. They will support you and love you, but if you do not do what needs to be done, they will let you hear it, you know? And it seems like the opposite with the Cowboys. They're constantly always making excuses. They always want to blame everyone else except for the actual players and the coaches and who it is. And I find it fascinating, quite honestly. I really, really do. So I'm curious to see what Stephen A. and Shannon has to say about this. Let's get into it.
Yeah, the culture's high, honestly, and the culture's great from my standpoint. My point is, yeah, that's something I've always bragged on and took pride in. So if there's questionings of that, concerns on that, I feel attacked. I'm sure some guys in the locker room do. But at the end of the day, it's a business, and the way that this business plays out, people don't get exactly what they wanted. There's always sourness, I guess you can say, somewhere. And so, yeah, I don't want to make anything bigger than what already comments have had.
Booger McFarland joining the party. Good morning, sir. How are you? Good to see you. All right, Stephen A., I'm going to start with you on this.
Top of the morning, people.
Good.
Top of the morning, Mr. Tampa.
Good morning, Bug.
You know what I'm saying? Top of the morning. Top of the morning.
Yeah, we all wish we were in Tampa right now. All right, Stephen A., I'm going to start with you. Are you buying what Dak has to say about the Cowboys' culture being high?
Hell no. Hell no. Why would I? First things first, let me get the positives out the way. Obviously, he was at a charity event thinking about those that are less fortunate than themselves. Obviously, children, cancer fund, and what have you. So God bless him for that and being the conscientious individual that he is, because he is a really good dude. So let's get that out the way first, okay? Having said all of that, we're talking football. And we're talking the culture of the Dallas Cowboys. And we're talking about people like Dan Orlovsky literally having the audacity, the unmitigated goal of going on national television and talk about they got a winning culture. And they ain't been in NFC Championship games in 29 years. This is what Dan Orlovsky said. I mean, he should get examined. It's just that simple. Having said all of that, Dak Prescott follows that up. And you say, well, you know, you take it as an attack. I take it as an attack against me. You damn right it's an attack against you. You're the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. You look at the personnel that y'all have had in place. We can debate it till the cows come home, but the fact of the matter is y'all had opportunities to make some noise, and you haven't done it. Now, Booger, depending on who you are, whether you're a wild card team or you're a top seed, you have to win a minimum of 3, and in some cases, Shay and Booger, 4 playoff games in one season to win a Super Bowl championship. Dak Prescott got 2 playoff victories in 8 years. I mean, this is what we're talking about here. So you know what? This is the hard part about him. He's a great guy. He says all the right things. He's class personified, good-looking dude, works hard, cares, is conscientious. He's just not results-oriented when it counts because he doesn't have anything to show for it. You damn right it's an attack against you because you should be better than you have been as a quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys come postseason time, and you haven't been. And the fact that y'all can walk around with a straight face talk about there ain't no culture problems is evidence that there is a culture problem. Because if you think there's no culture problem and you keep falling up short year after year after year, and you still gonna sit up there and say that with a straight face, that's the problem.
Well, I think we're missing just a little bit of it here, because I think what Dak Prescott is talking about from a high culture standpoint, do they have a culture of winning? Yes, because they've won 3 years in a row at a very high level. Is it a championship culture, Stephen A? No, it's not, because they haven't won one. And I think that's the impetus of where this culture issue comes down at, because the Cowboys' best players don't perform at their best when the game is on the line. When the games are at their highest, when it's postseason time, when it's time for your best players to step up to lead your team to a championship, they haven't done that. So
how is that a winning culture then? Enough with this idea that just because you win regular season games against the Giants and the Commanders, that means anything. It means nothing, okay? Winning playoff games consistently, getting to the Super Bowl, getting to the NFC Championship game, that is a winning culture, okay? The Cowboys won more games than the Chiefs. Who has a winning culture, the Chiefs or the Cowboys? Obviously the Chiefs. So this is so silly. Like, do they have a competent culture? Yes. And again, this ends up being like a whole game of semantics of what do we mean by winning, right? Do you have to win a championship? And I said this yesterday, that I'm a firm believer that in football, I don't judge success and failures based off of whether or not you win or lose a Super Bowl. That's just me personally. I know some people are 100% Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl. Now, if you're a team like the Cowboys and Dak, and you've had this, 6, 7, 8 year run where you haven't even sniffed an NFC Championship game or make it to a Super Bowl, yes, at this point, if you just get to the NFC Championship game, that's not good enough. And if you just get to the Super Bowl, that's not good enough, because it's too much time has been spent of you not doing that you've now skipped over those steps. But if they were making it consistently, like, say, the 49ers, who got to a couple Super Bowls, made it to NFC Championship games, the Eagles, multiple Super Bowls since 2017, multiple playoff wins and all that, like, that's a winning culture. That's something that you can celebrate. Obviously, there's no need to even mention the Chiefs again, because they're obviously truly winning all these Super Bowls. Like, those other teams, though, those teams are winning and actually making moves, and you have the feeling that they can make moves in the playoffs. The Cowboys, you don't have that. Okay, the fact that people expect the Cowboys to lose in the playoffs is obvious that they obviously don't have a winning culture. Then the fact that Dak Prescott has a losing record against winning teams, that is not a winning culture. It's saying that he is great at beating up on bad teams and bad players. And again, congratulations for that. But that's not when it matters, okay? So this whole idea is just really, really silly to me. Are they a competent organization? Right? Are they the Carolina Panthers, the Falcons, the Browns? No. And so great, that's good, right? Or the Commanders or the Giants? No, they are big, gigantic steps ahead of those organizations. So, do they have a competent culture? Yes. Do they have a winning culture? Again, it's like, how are we defining the word winning? Do they win games? Okay, sure. But you know it and I know it. You want more out of your organization. And if you can really be happy with the Cowboys for the last 10 years, I just don't know what to tell you. So this idea that they're hanging on winning these regular season games and winning 3, 12-win seasons in a row, it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The Chiefs didn't do that in their dynastic run. And so it clearly doesn't matter. The Eagles, the 49ers, multiple Super Bowls, 2 teams that have been in multiple Super Bowls in the last, 7 years or so. They didn't do it because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So if you want to, be all excited that, that you won 12 games and all of those games except for one of them was against teams with a losing record, then it's like, congratulations. Like, it's like, that's awesome. That's really, I'm proud of you guys. Good job. And then you get smoked by the Packers. You get destroyed by the youngest team in like 50 years or whatever. It's like, wow, congratulations. So there's just so much of defending this culture, and it's shocking. It really, really is. And I go back and forth between blaming Dak, but I think also at this point, the Cowboys made a huge mistake in not getting out and not getting a coach, an offensive coach, because I don't think McCarthy's a bad coach, but it's got to be one or the other. McCarthy is either not good enough to elevate the offense, or Dak Prescott's not good enough. And if McCarthy's not good enough, then you got to go out and get a better coach. And if Dak's not good enough, then you're wasting your time paying and money paying Dak. Both things can't be true, or both things can be true, and you got to plan accordingly. So it doesn't really make sense. You can't say Dak's a great coach or Dak's a great player and McCarthy's a great coach, but we still can't win. That does not add up. Something has to be, something has to give here, and it just never does. It never seems to with the Cowboys.
Therein lies the issue where the Cowboys have to get better. Now, is that culture, or is that Dak Prescott playing his best, or Micah Parsons playing his best, or CeeDee Lamb, or the defense being able to stop the run? I don't know if that's necessarily culture. That is figuring out how in those critical and key moments I can get the best out of my team, because you know you can't be as successful as this organization has been, Shannon, over the last 3 years without the culture being good. Now, how do you take that culture and get over the hump where you can win a championship? There's only going to be one champion every season, and the Cowboys got to be able to figure out, how do I get my best players to play and do the little things? I think that's what the Cowboys are missing. They're missing, how can the little things that lead us to championships, the things that nobody else will notice at practice, around the facility, when nobody's watching, how can I do those things? That way, when all the chips are on the line, come January, Dak Prescott plays his best. The defense plays their best. Therein lies the issue with the Cowboys. I don't think the culture is the issue. We've seen organizations where the culture has been the problem, where they can't win, they can't get out of their way, everybody's pointing the fingers, there's infighting amongst the team. I'm not talking about the family members on the outside, I'm not talking about the fans on the outside, I'm talking about those 53 guys that go into that locker room, and then another 16 if you count the practice squad. Those 70 guys right there, those guys have to have each other's back, and by and large, the Cowboys do that. Now, how do you get over the hump? I think that's the issue that Jerry Jones, Mike McCarthy, and Dak Prescott, whether no fault of his own, they got to figure out how to do that come January, Shannon.
Can I ask you a question, Booger? Did you hear some of the comments that came out of the locker room after they got, is that winning culture?
The comments that I heard were comments from the family members about the players, not necessarily CD or Micah saying specifically.
Go ahead, Micah, D-Law. I want you to talk about the Micah and D-Law comments. Is that winning culture?
You could say it's honest culture, Shannon. I think that would be fair.
Booger. Let's not wordplay. You and I played this game. I played 14 years. I think you got a decade plus. Let's not play wordplay. Let's not do that. Let's not do that, Booger. You heard the comments from Micah and D-Law. Is that winning culture? It's a simple yes or a simple no.
I like honesty, Shannon. Okay, so to me, honesty is winning. Because if we can't be honest with each other, then because if the shoe was flipped on the other side, I would expect you to tell me the same thing. See, I have no problem with honesty. I don't need you to tell me something in my face and then go behind my back and say something different. I believe that as a teammate in the battles that we've been through, Shannon, I can look you in the eye and I can say, hey, man, I don't think you played well enough, and you can say the same to me.
Can I challenge, before Shannon chimes back in, Booger, let me challenge you on that. I get the honesty part. I get what you're saying. But here's what my retort would be. I think what Shannon is saying, and I'm going to try to interpret for Shannon, even though he's right here on the air with me, because I'm vibing with what he's saying. What he's saying is, when it's a winning culture, you win or you lost. And when you lose, we all accountable. Hell, it wasn't good enough. It wasn't up to snuff. There's no excuses. D-Law was talking about they were tired. Micah Parsons was saying, yo, I don't know what the hell happened to us. We just didn't seem there, but there's no excuse for that, et cetera, et cetera. Dak Prescott's coming out and he's saying we hearing stuff about our culture. Ain't really no culture problems. We just got to get it done. But what you're not hearing enough of is, yo, y'all, we stink. We stink when it counts. We were down 48-16. We got our ass kicked. Don't look at that damn final score, 48-32. We got bum rushed. We got beat down. We embarrassed. We ashamed. It's hard for us to show our damn face. It's bad, and we need to fix that. I think that's what Shannon is talking about, that level of accountability and that harsh criticism you rain down upon yourself.
No, it's more than that. I understand that, but that winning culture isn't saying we just got beat and we got destroyed. No, the losing culture is Micah saying throughout the whole season, we're the best, we're great, we can hang with anyone, let's go. And then we lose, and then he says, the Cowboys need to do better and get better players. We need better people here. We need to be, our players aren't good enough. It's like, whoa. You literally just said that you had everything you needed, that you're on par with the 49ers who went to the Super Bowl, that you got Dak. Dak is better than Purdy. Dak's the MVP. You're a better defense. You got a better offense. Let's go. And then it wasn't good enough. You got smoked by the Packers. And then you're just like, well, we weren't good enough. Hopefully the Cowboys do some good things in this offseason to get us better players. That's not a winning culture. That's a losing culture. Okay? You're pointing fingers. You're blaming other people. Getting in fights or yelling at your quarterback during training camp is not a winning culture, okay? So this whole idea that it's an honest culture, like what Booger's trying to say, like that's nonsense. You can be honest and have a winning culture. Those things aren't mutually exclusive, and you can be honest and it doesn't mean that now you have a losing culture, but also there's a difference between being honest to each other, because he goes, I love when people hold each other accountable and say, you weren't good enough. Yeah, I agree. In the locker room, to each other, not when there's cameras around, not on a podcast, not on a sports show, okay? So, and that's what they were doing. That's what Micah is doing. And now Dak is answering questions at a benefit about, about this thing, which I think is also absurd, because Stephen A. wanted to go praise Dak for doing some of the more positive philanthropy stuff, which I do. I'm huge proponent of all that. But like, how about, hey, you know what? We're just here for the kids right now. We're not talking about, our culture or anything like that. I appreciate the question. I respect the question. But right now, this is nothing to do about me and the Cowboys and the winning and the playoffs or anything like that. We are here for the kids, whatever the function exactly was. And that's what it is, And then that's what you do. That's your answer. But instead of, answering all these like controversial questions about your culture and how he's like, it's an attack at me. It's like, what are we talking about here? Are you here to help kids with cancer and help raise money? Or are you here to talk about how the people are attacking you and it's an attack at you for the culture? Like, that's messy. That's sloppy. Okay. And that's not how winners handle those situations, quite honestly. And Dak's great in front of the mic. So I'm not meaning to call Dak out in that moment, because you can only be so perfect so many times. But again, that's when you're unorganized. That's when you're disheveled, and that's when things are not going according to plan. Okay? Because when you go to a benefit like that, you shouldn't even have questions asked like that towards you. And if you do, you need to be able to disarm them very quickly and be like, hey, our culture is great and I love it. And I can't wait, till next season. And then that's it. You'll leave it at that, But instead, it just spirals and gets messier and messier. And it's just, this to me has just been such a consistent theme among the Cowboys. And it's so fascinating to see people defend them. The Cowboys have done nothing for 29 years. And yet you have someone like Booger, who knows football, who's been around the block, defend them. And he says they have a winning culture, but they don't play good enough when it matters. How is that a winning culture? They have a winning culture, but their players don't step up when they need to step up. How is that a winning culture? They have a winning culture, but their players just don't win. How is that a winning culture then? Like it doesn't. Dak Prescott has to find a way to be better. Oh, okay, right. He's just going to magically be better than he was for the last 8 years. He's just magically going to take 2 steps forward and suddenly he's going to be Patrick Mahomes. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. Players don't magically just start to get really great. Dak Prescott is who he is. McCarthy is who he is. Micah is who he is. CD Lamb at this point is who he is. Probably can maybe grow a little bit more. But honestly, you're probably at the peak of someone like a CD Lamb. It's hard to imagine that he's just going to be able to keep going. But you never know. So it's just like, I don't know what you're expecting. So again, you either have to look at the reality and say, hey, all these wins are kind of inflated. Like, they actually really just feast on teams that are not that good. Which, hooray, that's great. You're taking advantage of bad teams, which is technically part of the battle of winning in the NFL. But also, when you're playing actual good teams, you can't win. That's the problem, okay? And it's not a matter of just getting better or playing better or stepping up. That is a sign of a fundamental issue within the organization, whether it be coaching, whether it be the players themselves. It's a fundamental issue when you consistently do not play good enough against the other good teams in the NFL, okay? For the most part, the Eagles played consistently good against the good teams. The 49ers consistently good against the good teams, okay? The Bengals, the Bills. It's not to say that they're winning every single time, right? That's not what I'm saying here. But they consistently compete and are competitive and win. The 49ers have been to multiple Super Bowls. The Eagles have been to multiple Super Bowls and won the Super Bowl. Like, that is what those teams do. The Cowboys, on the other hand, consistently do not. So again, tell me where the winning culture is then, because I don't see it. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. Please let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So if you think what I'm saying is the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, let me know in the comments below. If you think what I'm saying is the most amazing thing, then definitely please let me know. Either way, let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.